American Timelines is a member of the Queen City Podcast Network, powered by Ortho Carolina. Find out more at queencitypodcastnetwork.com.
History for jerks.
Samantha, that's a hickey.
Stranger came in and slit his throat, blood. Terrible mess. I was covered in blood.
Old people have boners and their boners.
Covered in blood. The smell of decomposition was obvious upon driving into the property.
That's probably
Covered in blood.
Get into the bathroom.
What do you do?
He shat on the bed.
Covered in blood. Welcome to another episode of American Timelines. I'm Amy.
And I just got done watching Roadhouse.
And that's Joe.
Roadhouse is the best movie I've ever seen.
Oh my God.
I've finally seen it all.
I can't believe you spent one of your precious days off watching Roadhouse.
No, I've been watching it for several days. Just bits of it here and there. I like to watch movies in real time. So like if a day has gone by in a movie, I stop it and then I go back to it the next day so that I live the movie.
So you've got several movies in the.
There's a lot
you're
of movies
in the middle of.
Yeah, any movies that goes over 10 years of time.
Yeah, you've
like I'm
watching.
waiting. I'm putting my calendar when to watch it again. The next scene. Just so that
great idea.
Just so that my memory is the same as theirs. But Roadhouse, that's a good movie. That's a really strong plot. Mm-hmm. There seems to be no rules or laws that apply to Patrick Swayze in that movie. Yeah. Murder is fine, I guess. He's got this power that he can rip out somebody's throat with his hand.
Whoa.
Yeah, Patrick Swayze can do that. And he's a bouncer. It's all about a bouncer. He used to
be such a heartthrob.
Yeah.
I was never a Patrick Swayze fan.
Yeah, I don't... Yeah, he woos a doctor in Roadhouse. A hot doctor likes him. She likes a bouncer. You know all those doctor-bouncer relationships? Yes. Anyway, I saw Roadhouse.
Okay, what are we going to talk about
today? This is episode 96 of American Timelines. We're 4 away from 100. You know what happens when we get to 100?
Take your dick out.
Everybody who listens gets their junk out while they listen. That's all that happens.
That's all that happens.
Yep.
Won't be any different than today.
Yep. Our parents will listen to this with their junks out.
All right. We're on 1966.
We are on 1966, and we left off in the middle of August.
Okay.
1966, because I suddenly realized after 96 episodes, 95 episodes, whatever it is, that who cares when we end? Nobody cares.
Nobody gives a shit.
Nobody gives a shit about anything anymore. Yeah. There's no laws. There's no
rules.
rules
It's anarchy.
anymore. It's anarchy. And so welcome to American Anarchy Timelines. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of hinted at August 24th of 1966 would be the day that the Doors record their self-titled debut LP.
That's right.
The Doors.
Riders
it features many of the group's most famous compositions, including Light My Fire, Break On Through, and The End. In 1969, Morrison stated, "Every time I hear the end, it means something else to me."
Oh, God. Stop with the accent.
That's exactly how he sounds.
No.
I'm just talking. That's how I talk. All right, I'll try to do it in his voice.
Just do it normal.
Every time I hear the end, it means something else to me. It started out as a simple goodbye song, probably just to a girl. But I see how it could be a goodbye to a kind of childhood. I really don't know. I think it's sufficiently complex and universal in its imagery that it could be almost anything you want it to be. One time I tried to suck my own dick.
That's not what he said.
Yeah, okay, that last sentence he didn't say.
This is the end. My only friend, the end. I used to listen to the Doors all the time.
And that's when you were on drugs.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah. The only time I ever listened to the Doors when I really got into weed, like when I first started drinking, like smoking weed. And that Doors movie came out.
Yes, I remember.
And my friends would just smoke a bunch of pot and watch the Doors movie. Mm-hmm. And I never knew what was happening. I never understood it.
Val Kilmer was pretty good in that movie. I mean, he really embodied Jim Morrison.
I don't remember. I just know that every time I watched it, I was stoned on my gourd. And I had no idea what was even happening.
Oh, my
Then
God.
everyone would be a new scene. I'm like, oh, what's happening now? We're watching a movie? Where am I?
Oh, Lord.
But I wasn't very good at smoking weed.
Okay.
And then on, that was a Wednesday. And then on Monday, August 29th, 1969, the Beatles play their very last concert at Candlestick Park in San Francisco, California.
Okay.
While Hullabaloo airs its last episode on NBC.
I've never heard of that.
Hullabaloo?
Yep.
It was a rerun with guest star Elvis Presley, which previously aired in April that year. But just so you know, Hullabaloo was on at the same time. But according to the Beatles Bible, although the Beatles made an unannounced live appearance in January 1969 on the rooftop of the Apple Building, you know, that live.
Yep.
Their final live concert took place on August 29th, 1966 at Candlestick Park. There was big talk at Candlestick Park that this had got to end, and that the San Francisco gig, it seemed that this could possibly be the last time, but I never felt 100% certain till we got back to London. John wanted to give up more than the others. He said that he'd had enough, says Ringo Starr.
Okay.
The park's capacity was 42,500, but only 25,000 tickets were sold, leaving large sections of unsold seats.
Why, I wonder?
Because of the Jesus thing.
Oh,
I
really?
think, probably. Fans paid between $4.50 and $6.50 for tickets. And the Beatles' fee was around $90,000.
Whoa. Back then, that's a lot.
That's a lot back then.
That's
but
like
the
$5
tickets
million
are cheap.
today.
The tickets are cheap as hell, though. The show's promoter was local company Tempo Productions.
Who cares who the show's promoter was?
Well, because the Beatles took 65% of the gross. The city of San Francisco took 15% of paid admissions and were given 50 free tickets. This arrangement, coupled with low ticket sales and other unexpected expenses, resulted in financial loss for Tempo Productions.
Okay.
You were upset by that. And that brings us to Tuesday, August 30th, 1966.
Yeah.
CXDCX. It was the tight pants strike of 1966.
Say.
Also the Battle of the Bulge. In 1966, 35-year-old Pat Morris was working at, this is according to WeirdUniverse.net. In 1966, 35-year-old Pat Morris was working at International Paper's plywood plant in Oregon when management suspended her on account of her tight-fitting pants,
Oh, boy.
complaining that they were too distracting for male workers. Morris protested that other female workers were also wearing tight jeans. Nevertheless, according to her, they said something about being too stacked and sent me home. Almost every paper in the country felt obliged to report that her measurements were 39, 27, 39.
Oh, God. It's so fucking patriarchal.
Even though she wasn't in the union, the 315 union members at the plant promptly went on strike in protest, claiming that the suspension was illegal. The strike lasted a week until Morris was allowed back to her job wearing looser jeans.
Oh, jeez.
They have pictures of her, and it's nothing compared to what people wear now.
I'm sure. That's so awful.
Yeah.
Because men can't control themselves.
Yeah, right, because they can't. They get boners.
Yeah. It's her fault.
And they basically said, the other ladies in the office aren't as attractive, so it's fine.
Right.
You can't wear it.
That's pretty funny.
Sorry that happened. I'm sorry for all men.
I know.
I'm
You've got a lot of
apologizing.
apologizing to do.
Yeah, but every time I apologize,
Yeah.
one woman gets her period.
No,
or something.
I don't
Gets
think
her
that's-
wings, always with wings. No, an angel gets its period. Is that
No,
how it?
that's not.
I'm trying to do a feminist thing here.
I know
like,
you are, but it's not working.
Every time I apologize on behalf of all men, a woman gets her libido? No, she
No.
gets a right to vote?
No.
They already have that. What do they want? What do you want? What do you want?
I want lots of things,
You
honey.
want to be supreme rulers?
No.
You want
No.
a planet of all women?
Maybe for a while. It would probably be nice for a while just to see the difference.
And have male slavery?
No, but like to have everything run by women just to see.
What about men's suffrage?
Men aren't suffering.
You want? Well, what about men having to earn their suffrage?
I don't even know what that means. I'm not sure what you're talking
It
about.
doesn't make any sense. But what if men just can't vote for a while?
Yeah, they work. Just for a while.
For the same amount of time women couldn't.
Mm-hmm. Let's do it.
And then men get paid less.
Yeah, let's do it.
And then men have to bleed out of their crotch once a month.
And women, like, say awful things to men all the time and grab their butts and stuff.
But men would like that. That's
I
the
know,
problem.
that's the
They
hard
wouldn't be
part.
hurt by it, is the problem.
They would if it was a power situation and the woman was
Maybe they would.
because it's that feeling of
Men want that so bad, though. Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
Not if the woman is like
Yeah, maybe, yeah. If she's gross and,
Yeah.
like, has power, like you said, it'd be
Mm-hmm.
different.
Yep. All right. What's next?
Then women became perfectly equal and there were no more
Nope.
problems. And
Unfortunately,
racism
nope.
ended. Racism and sexism all ended
I wish.
on September 1st, 1966. Mm-hmm. That brings us to a story you have.
Oh yeah.
The same day that basketball player Tim Hardaway is born.
Yes.
And
I am-
also KIFW, TV channel 13 in Sitka, Alaska, CBS starts broadcasting.
Are you autistic?
Yes.
All right.
The same day that KTNL TV channel 13 CBS in Sitka, Alaska starts broadcasting with high definition audio.
In the weeks to come.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to tell the story of the Black Monk of Pontefract.
Say what? What did you even just say?
The Black Monk of Pontefract.
The
You'll
Black
see.
Monk of Pontefract?
Yes.
Pontefract?
Pontefract.
I want some Pontefract. I want to get some
So the year
Pontefract tonight.
1966.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
A family consisting of Jean and Joe Pritchard and their two children, Philip, 15, and Diane, 12.
Oh, Philip, Diane, Jean, and Joe. What a nice family.
They moved into a quiet house on 30 East Drive in Pontefract, West Yorkshire, England.
Oh, Pontefract is a town?
Yes. And this is, I got
What's
from
Yorkshire? That's the town.
West Yorkshire, England.
Pontefract is a neighborhood?
I guess.
I don't get it.
I got this from mysteriousuniverse.com.
Mysterious
Shout
Universe.
out.
So, shout out to weirduniverse.net, I think is what mine was.
Yeah.
And weird, what?
Mysteriousuniverse.com.
Mysteriousuniverse.com. If you only knew how to spell mysterious, you could check out the website.
So it wasn't long after they settled into that inn that strange things began to happen around the home.
Okay.
Starting, rather innocently enough, the first main incident started on September 1st, 1966.
Yeah, the same day that Tim Hardaway was born.
The son-
And, now KTNL, TV channel 13 in Sitka, Alaska, starts broadcasting.
So, there we go.
Son Philip.
Son Philip was staying at home with his grandmother, Sarah Scholes,
Oh, Sarah shows y'all.
Well,
I bet
the-
she's a lugger.
while the rest of the family was away on a trip to Devon. One day, they felt a strange gust of cold wind
You mean
pass
Devon?
through despite the summer heat.
Okay, it's hot out in the summertime in London.
Yes.
But a cool breeze comes through the house.
And then they witnessed what seems to be white powder
Just the grandma and
or
the son?
mist snowing down from the ceiling, and there's sounds of footsteps above, on the floor above.
What? In the house?
Yeah,
During the day?
yeah. And then they go to investigate, along with Scholl's sister, Mary Kelly.
Another old lady.
Yeah, and then they found these pools of water spreading on the floor of the kitchen, like inexplicably appearing and spreading on the floors in the kitchen.
Now that is impossible.
And while that's going on, the bumping is still going on from the floor above. And then dust is coming down still from the ceiling.
What? These are odd occurrences.
So at the time, they thought it was maybe a broken pipe or something.
Okay, because water coming up from somewhere
Yeah.
on the bottom, and then a pump. The bumping would be like something's happening, bursting pipes.
So
Okay.
they called a repairman,
Repairman?
but he looks at it and couldn't find anything wrong.
Okay.
So he couldn't figure out where the water could be coming from, and he saw it. He witnessed it as well.
Okay.
saw
So
it
it's
coming
really
up.
happening. It's true.
Yes, and they would
You always
eventually
trust a plumber.
stop, but everybody was just baffled, couldn't figure out what was going on. So later that same evening, the pools came back again from nowhere, and this time it was joined by a violent jolting rattling of all the cutlery and the pots and pans around the kitchen.
Say what?
And then also the whole area, they had a tea kettle, and the whole area was sprayed with tea because something was pressing on the depression, like the button on the tea kettle, and it was spraying tea all over the kitchen.
Now I'm starting to not believe it. Everything else seemed believable.
Then everything was followed by a thunderous bang from the outside hallway. And so then when they looked to see, there was nothing there, even though the hallway lights, right as they went to look, the hallway lights started to blink on and off.
Really?
Yes.
This is getting out of hand.
And then they also noticed that a plant that was normally positioned at the foot of the stairs was at the top of the stairs, and neither of them had moved it.
So this ghost can move tea, shoot tea, move plants, and create water.
So this stuff's going on, then it would die down, and then a heavy chest of drawers began to sway.
What would you
later
do?
that
What would
night.
you do if this was happening? Would you just
I don't know.
sit around and let it happen, or would you go about your business, or would you like run away?
Well, once the chest of drawers started to sway and like creak like it was going to tip over, Philip and Grandma packed some stuff and headed to a neighbor's house for the night.
Let's get the F out of here because something going on.
And so then, by the time the rest of the family returned from their trip, everything seemed to have stopped. And at the time, they all thought that there had to be something, some explanation, some normal thing.
Maybe like some chemicals, like Grandma and Philip and the sister were all hallucinating,
Maybe something. So it would be another 2 years before anything else out of the ordinary would happen.
And you would have forgotten by 2 years. What? Remember that day?
It was just that weird day. So all of a sudden, again, 2 years later,
all of a sudden, 2 years later,
the pools of water start forming again on the house.
That's weird.
Furniture started moving and rattling on its own, and there was odd green foam seeping out of water taps.
This is all according to the grandma?
No.
And is corroborated by Phil?
By neighbors, but there was a neighbor that
also saw this shit?
Yeah. And then there was all these loud thuds and bangs sounding from all over the house, and doors would slam open or shut by themselves. And then
this seems like a ghost.
Family portraits were slashed and like removed off the walls and stuff. And there was all these bad odors also coming from the house.
Those could have been farts.
And also noises
it's included
heavy breathing.
Farts also make noise. Breathing, sometimes after you fart, you breathe heavily.
And also the sound of barnyard animals sometimes.
Okay, unless they're in a barnyard.
Right. They're
or
not.
a farm.
They're not.
Barnyard animals doesn't make as much sense as the farts do.
This stuff started happening kind of every day. They started living with it.
With all the things, the barnyard animals and
all
the
the
farts?
different things that were going on. And they started calling this entity Fred, kind of trying to make it like light of it.
Huh.
So everything started to grow in intensity, and things were being smashed and broken, objects flying across the room, even in the presence of guests.
What? Other people are seeing this?
Yes, and
this
whenever
really
people
would... How come I'm just hearing about this now?
And whenever people would come over, the phenomena seemed to actually get worse and more violent. And this even happened in the presence of a local police officer and the town vicar.
The town vicar?
Yes. Leaving everyone dumbfounded and authorities unable to find any rational explanation.
No, stop your accent. I hate your accent.
In particular, the little girl, Diane, the 12-year-old, seemed to be the target.
Well,
she would wake up to the sound of heavy breathing or undefined voices in her ears.
I'll just say this.
And she was sometimes physically assaulted by
never mind.
the entity, like pushed. She would have her hair pulled.
Oh, that's not
She was dragged across the room.
I was about to say, now I feel bad. I was thinking 12-year-old girls can really be jerks. They kind of deserve it, but they don't deserve that kind of treatment.
No. So
nobody does.
The phenomena seem to work in cycles. There would be times when it would happen on a daily basis, and there would be long absences, and then it would come back again.
Okay.
So the Pritchard family reached out to the church for help. And there were several exorcisms performed on the house.
At this point, you got to go to the church because you got to get that guy who says the power of Christ compels you.
That's right, but it didn't. It just made it angrier.
So they actually, churches in London were doing active exorcisms.
They exorcised the house.
Like you could call a church and they would just come.
You can do that now.
You can?
Yeah, it's very rare, but they still do perform exorcisms.
Just in London?
No, Roman Catholic Church still performs exorcisms.
No.
Yes. It's rare, but they do.
Where are you basing this knowledge off of?
Well, all of my collective knowledge of everything dark and unseemly.
Well, I don't know if I can continue this relationship.
All right. Anyway,
All right.
so the crucifixes would be knocked out of the hands of the priests, and
I think
or
the plural for
smashed.
crucifix is crucify.
And then they also found inverted crosses painted and scrawled on the walls in red or black ink, but neither of those were kept in the house.
Nobody kept red or black ink in the house.
Not at his house. In one particularly frightening incident, an invisible force picked up a candlestick and held it in front of the priest's face.
Yeah.
And that sent him running out of the house.
He
Oh,
just
shit.
that priest just ran out scared, not performing an exorcism.
Yep, he was done. So now the spirit began to show itself as an apparition.
Oh, it did. Huh? This is real believable.
At first, it would be Jean and Joe waking in the middle of the night to see a dark shape standing at the foot of the bed staring at them, who would
that's
then
creepy.
just like blink out of existence right when they woke up fully.
Yikes! I don't know if I'd.
Wouldn't
be able
that
to get back
scare
to
the
sleep.
shit out of? Can you imagine? On another occasion, Joe claimed to have woken to see a figure in flowing black robes hovering over the bed.
That's crazy. But I think the craziest thing is just thinking every time they see these things, all they're saying is "crikey"
No,
because they're British.
That's Australian.
Oh, it is. Crikey is Australian.
Yeah, dummy.
Oh well, then they just say. What do they say?
I don't know. By Jove.
No, what British they say.
I don't know. All right.
Pip pip cheerio.
No.
Oh, pip pip cheerio.
No, that's not.
They used
So
to yell something. What do British people yell?
they often they described the entity dressed in black robes with a hood covering his face, not unlike what a medieval monk might wear, and which would earn him the nickname the Black Monk
The Black Monk of
Pontefract.
So
before long, he was seen lurking about by everyone in the family and was even claimed to have been spotted prowling the property by neighbors and other locals.
So they stopped calling him Fred at this point?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if they might still be calling him Fred, but
Oh.
it became known as the Black Monk. So then sometimes
Why is he fucking with this family?
I don't know. But
Anybody
it still
ask
had to. It still seemed like Diane was the target because
The
the
girl.
attacks started to grow worse and worse, and she would sometimes wake up with scratches and bruises on her body,
Oh,
or
poor
completely
girl.
thrown from her bed. And on at least one occasion, she was choked and slapped around by an unseen force in full view of witnesses.
Wouldn't you move?
Wouldn't you?
Because you go anywhere
Yeah.
else and it doesn't happen.
I
Why
know
would
it.
you move?
The family had paranormal investigators called in.
Okay.
And some interesting things were found out on the history of the land the house sat on. For
Okay.
instance, investigators found that not only had the area once been the site of a battle, but also it had once been used as the town gallows,
I think they pronounce battle and gallows.
and hundreds of people had been executed there.
Oh.
In particular, there was supposedly a Cluniac monk who had met his end by hanging after being found guilty of raping and killing a young girl around Diane's age back in the 16th century. And that's who the paranormal investigators thought was haunting the home.
Okay, I guess you would come to that conclusion if you really could dig up that history, because that history's written somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know.
somehow.
So, despite all the intense
really believing
paranormal
it.
activity, it would all one day suddenly cease, just as
Yeah, right.
abruptly as it had started.
Sure.
And the family just kept waiting for the Black Monk to come back.
Yeah.
But it was completely quiet for no apparent reason, as if
Okay.
he just got bored and stopped.
Totally believe the whole story.
And eventually they would move out, and the house would go on to be a popular destination for paranormal investigators.
Yeah, of course. Make
Several
much
of whom
money.
would apparently uncover the fact that indeed the Black Monk was still around
No, yeah, of course.
and as active as ever.
Sure.
And there was Paranormal Lockdown. The show went and stayed
That's
there.
a show? There's a show called Paranormal Lockdown? I bet that's a great show. Paranormal Lockdown.
Yeah, that's exactly how they say it too. So they
Shout out to Paranormal Lockdown, y'all. That's also the name of my band. Paranormal Lockdown, motherfucker. Now, could we do a quick where are they now with this family? Like, what are they up to?
the house.
The kids are grown up now. What are they? Can we get in touch with them? Do you think, just to have them admit, yeah, none of this happened? This is bullshit.
The house itself was purchased
It was?
by a man named Philip Pritchard and later sold to the British advertiser and film producer Bill Bungay.
Oh, Bill Bungay, y'all.
His last name's Bungay.
Bungay.
I love that name.
Bill Bungay, y'all.
He turned it into a sort of macabre tourist destination.
Okay, I love the word macabre.
He would later have the story made into a 2012 horror film called When the Lights Go Out.
But that's a great movie.
And the film crew apparently had quite a few paranormal experiences making the movie.
It did.
Which was supposedly partly filmed on location.
Ooh.
And to this day has remained a hotspot for debate, discussion, and investigation. But whatever is going on here, be it expansive hoax or very angry and vehement spirit, the case has never been solved.
Yep.
That's the story of the Black Monk.
Sounds like a hoax. I think it's a hoax, just like this whole impeachment thing is a hoax.
Oh, my God.
Sorry. Okay. No, it's a hoax. I don't think it's this. I don't know. It just doesn't ring true to me. Does it to you? I think it's all bullshit. I think we need to...
there's been times... Now, I have a question for you, because there have been other
here's
hauntings...
a question for me.
...that I've talked about that you have been sold hook, line, and sinker on.
Yeah, this one is
like
too outrageous.
Well,
like
now, how is it any different?
All the ones you've said about the ones where people are throwing plates and turd, the one that had a floating turd, I didn't believe that either, because... It's not going to be that.
I thought you totally were into that one.
I don't think so. Maybe I was. I'll have to go back and listen. But I think when it's all that kind of stuff, I think they're just like, it's fantastical. I don't believe any of that. Why
do you think?
Why aren't there videos of anything like that then? Boom. Caught you. Caught you. Boom.
Maybe there are.
I saw Ghostbusters once.
All right, what's next?
Next on the agenda. That brings us to September 8th, 1966, the day that the classic science fiction series Star Trek premieres on NBC.
Oh.
Are you familiar?
I am a little. It used to be on when I was little on TV, and I kind of would, as I ran through the room, it would be on. Yeah, but I never stopped and watched it, really.
Have you ever tried to watch it?
When I was young, when I was a little kid, I tried, and I didn't care for it.
Boring as fuck,
It was really boring.
Did you ever try to watch it as an adult or later? It's still boring as fuck. I've tried. And I was like, God, I keep falling asleep.
Like, why? Who cares?
Like, they really found a way to make space exploration boring as fuck.
Yeah.
I can't figure out why. But Star Trek's Nielsen ratings on Star Trek listeners, anybody who loves Star Trek is going to hate us.
They'll be pissed.
Their ratings while on NBC were low, and the network canceled it after 3 seasons and 79 episodes. Several years later, the series became a hit in broadcast syndication, remaining so throughout the 70s, achieving cult classic status.
I remember when I worked at
influence on pop culture.
I remember when I worked at the movie theater when I was like 16. There was one of those movies came out. I don't remember which one. They're all the same to me. Mm-hmm. And some guy, I was selling tickets, and some guy came up and he asked for a ticket for it, and I gave it to him, and he went, "Hurry up! I'm a Trekkie, and I can't miss none of it." I don't know why that just sticks in my head.
I totally thought you were going to say something to him like, "Oh, here's your ticket for Star Wars." Like,
no, I didn't. But I just, for some reason, that sticks in my head.
Hurry up! I'm a Trekkie, and I can't
miss none of it. The way he said it, it was so weird.
I will say, my family dragged me. My dad loved Star Trek.
Oh, you had to see him in the theater?
Yeah, so we saw the movies are better, I think, than the show. Like the show, my dad would watch all the time.
Yeah.
I'd always be like, "What is happening? It's so boring."
Yeah.
Like, nothing ever happens.
Yeah.
Like they're just talking.
With that weird sound in the background of all the machinery.
Yeah.
Yep.
Scotty, let's set a course for the Green Lady system with I will seduce a hot alien. I don't even know. Yeah. And then Spock was just, doesn't compute, Captain. I don't know. It's really boring. Let's see. What should we do now? Here are the coordinates. Like, what?
Yeah.
What?
All right. What's next?
Oh, but I went and saw the movies sometimes with my dad. My dad would love it. He'd make us go to see the movies. And sometimes the movies were actually not so bad. Seemed to be more... Yeah, some of the aliens seemed better. I don't know what it was, but they weren't as bad. Like, I kind of enjoyed them.
Okay.
You know the characters. Like, The Wrath of Khan, I think, is the one I remember seeing in the theater.
Oh, okay,
it was a pretty good movie, I thought.
That's because of Ricardo Montalban.
And there was little jokes. And so, yeah, Ricardo Montalban's great. And there was little, like, jokes and funny innuendo and stuff. And
¿Quieres más macho?
They showed Spock's
Fernando Lamas
dick.
o Ricardo Montalban.
You have to mention that anytime we talk about Ricardo Montalban.
¿Quieres más macho? Señor Lamas o Montalban.
It wasn't Ricardo Montalban.
Yeah. It was Fernando Lamas o Ricardo Montalban.
I guess it was. Anyway, they show Spock's dick in the movies.
What?
Yeah, a bunch of...
No, they do not.
He's got
You're
four,
lying.
He's got 4 dicks.
No, they
And 9
don't.
nine
Why did I
scrotums.
believe that for a second?
He's got 4 dicks and 9 scrotums. Anyway, the original... I was going to tell you that the Gene Roddenberry created Star Trek.
Yes.
His original concept, the protagonist was Captain Robert April of the starship SS Yorktown. And the character was then developed into Captain Christopher Pike, first portrayed by Jeffrey Hunter.
God, this is just as boring as the show. Jesus.
Anyway, it wasn't originally...
Nobody cares.
And remember, we talked about at one point that they made the original pilot, and then they made a new pilot, and it was only Spock was the only character they brought back.
Oh.
But it wasn't popular at the beginning. And then September 12th, 1966, the Monkees television series premiered on NBC.
Yes, I used to watch that.
Now, did you know, I wasn't never clear on this. I remember it being on,
Yeah.
like in reruns
And you didn't
stuff.
know whether they were the actors first or the...
Yeah,
band
that's what
first.
I've always wondered.
Right.
Do you know?
I think they were a band first.
See, that's what I assumed too. I thought it was like the Beatles, like they're
Yeah.
a band and then they make a show.
Became a show.
That is not true.
Oh.
It was... They came up with an idea for the sitcom, kind of based on the Beatles' success and stuff. And
Yeah, they're such rip-offs of the Beatles.
yeah, so 400 people auditioned to be the Monkees. It first aired on NBC
Yes.
in 2 long series. What does that mean?
I don't know. I didn't write it.
The series follow the adventures of 4 young men, the Monkees, trying to make a name for themselves as a rock and roll band. The show
That's right.
introduced a number of innovative new wave film techniques to series television and won 2 Emmy Awards in 1967, including Outstanding Comedy Series. But 400 people, so they came up with the idea, and then they had 4 people audition to be the Monkees. 400 people auditioned. And here are the people that made it. Mickey Dolenz was the son of screen actor George Dolenz.
Yeah.
Had prior screen experience under the name Mickey Braddock as the 10-year-old star of the Circus Boys series in the 1950s.
Really?
He was actively auditioning for pilots at the time and was told about the project by his agent.
Okay.
So I meant to look up the Circus Boy and see if we can recognize him,
Oh, right.
but I didn't. So
Yeah.
go ahead and you do that research, time heads. And then Englishman Davy Jones was a former jockey who had achieved
Oh, I think I did know that.
some initial success on the musical stage, appearing with the cast of Oliver on the Ed Sullivan Show, the night of the Beatles' live American debut.
Oh, wow.
He was appearing in Columbia Pictures Productions and recorded for the Colprix record label, and had been identified in advance as a potential star for the series.
Oh, yeah.
And then Texan Michael Nesmith's mother, Betty Nesmith, Graham,
I know. She invented the
had
Post-it note.
Nope.
Oh, invented something.
She
Velcro.
had-
No, super glue.
Nope.
No. Damn it. What was it?
Pornhub.
No, it was not,
and
you asshole.
And the first couple videos were just pictures of her asshole.
No, you're such an asshole.
No. She invented a correction fluid.
Oh, she invented whiteout. That's
Whiteout.
right.
Liquid paper.
I knew there was
Not
something.
whiteout, liquid paper.
Oh, yeah.
He had served a brief stint in the U.S. Air Force and had also recorded for Colprix. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's Colpix. Sorry. I can't
Jeez.
see very good. Colprix. Under the name Michael Blessing. He was the only one of the Monkees who had come for the audition based on seeing the Trade magazine ad. He showed up to the audition with his laundry and impressed Raffleson and Schneider with his laid-back style and droll sense of humor. Mm-hmm. He also wore a woolen hat to keep his hair out of his eyes when he rode his motorcycle, leading to an early promotional material which nicknamed him Wool Hat. The hat remained part of Nesmith's wardrobe.
Yep.
But the name was dropped after the pilot.
That's good,
And
because
then-
that's a stupid name.
And do you remember the last guy?
Davy, Mike, Mickey, and... No, I don't remember the last guy.
Yeah.
Nobody does.
No, I think they do, but I don't think I could name all the Monkees at any given time. I think Peter Tork.
Oh, that's right.
He was recommended by friend Stephen Stills at his audition.
Yeah.
Tork was a skilled multi-instrumentalist who had performed at various Greenwich Village folk clubs before moving west, where he worked as a busboy.
Oh.
The series was filmed by Screen Gems. You know, they're the guys that did Three Stooges.
Okay.
And many of the same sets and props from Three Stooges were used in the Monkees. A pair of pajamas with a bunny design on the front that had been worn by Curly were the same ones worn by Peter Tork.
Oh, that's funny.
In various episodes. And also to reduce noise on the set during filming, any of the four Monkees who was not needed in front of the cameras was locked in a converted meat locker.
What?
Yes. And in DVD commentary, Tork noted that his had the added benefit of concealing any marijuana use that might be going on.
Oh, say.
And he said he was the biggest pot smoker of all.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Sweet. That's pretty sweet.
You like pot? Are you a pot advocate?
Yes.
And then that brings us to
Enthusiastically.
Sunday,
Yeah.
September 18th, 1966.
Yes, I have 2 stories today.
Oh, and you got a story on September
18th.
18th, 1966,
Yes.
the same day that Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea is on.
Yep.
Monster from the Inferno. Also, Lassie is on, and Timmy puts peanut butter on his dick.
Oh, no. Come on now.
Just kidding.
Stop it. That's disgusting.
No, that's it.
That's
it wasn't.
disgusting.
He didn't do anything else. He just put it on his dick.
All right.
That's it.
So, I'm going to talk about the murder of Valerie Percy.
Well, Timmy's a grown man, right?
What?
Sorry. What?
I'm going to talk about the murder of Valerie Percy. So, she was 21. She was murdered on September.
Who's Valerie Percy?
She's a daughter of a congressman.
Oh, no.
Yes.
A daughter. Wait, she was murdered the same day that It's About Time was on?
Yes.
And Bonanza was on? Horse of a Different Hue?
That's right. So she was murdered, and she was bludgeoned and stabbed to death in the home as her family slept.
What?
Over 50 years later, her murder remains unsolved.
It's unsolved. Another unsolved mystery. This was a
Yes,
murder.
The murder.
Maybe it was that monk of whatever. Black Monk
of Pontefract.
So
she had, in June of 1965, she had
June
earned...
of 1965.
What?
Mick Foley, when the same month that Mick Foley, American professional wrestler Mick Foley, was born in Bloomington, Indiana.
All right.
Sorry, I had fun wrestling.
She had earned a bachelor's degree from the Ivy League Cornell University.
Oh, Cornell's not something to spit at.
And she received a major in French literature.
Oh, okay. You can't do much with that.
She went and spent her junior year in Paris.
Oh, fancy.
She planned to return in the summer and help her father in his election campaign before starting her master's of art in teaching at Johns Hopkins University.
Yeah, because you can't, French literature degree. You can't do anything but teach.
So she arrived home from Paris the summer of 1966.
Okay, must be nice to just gallivant in Paris.
Almost immediately, she began to help her father, Charles Harding Percy. And
Charles Harding Percy was his name?
Yes, he was a Republican.
A Republican
He had
congressman.
Previously made a run to become governor of Illinois in 1964, but was defeated. And
he just wanted to be called governor.
In 1966, he was campaigning to be the senator of Illinois.
Okay, he wanted to be a senator. Okay.
That's what it was. So, in September, she, along with stepmother Lorraine, on September 17th, they spent the evening entertaining Calvin Fentress and Tully Friedman.
Calvin Fentress and Tully Friedman, yeah.
These are some rich motherfuckers. Fentress and Friedman were key members of the campaign team for the Senate bid.
Fentress and Friedman, come here.
So over the course of dinner, the four of them discussed how they could win over more young voters.
What were they having for dinner? Caviar?
Probably.
Figures.
So at around 10 p.m., they left.
Yeah.
They said their goodbyes and everything, and she went upstairs to change into her PJs before she got into bed and watched TV.
PJs is short for pajamas.
At around 11:30.
And TV at this time was black and white.
Is short for television.
Only had 3 channels.
True.
Or 2 channels.
And
maybe.
around 11:30 p.m., her twin sister Sharon came home from a date.
Oh, hot date. Hot, sexy date.
So she briefly went into her sister's room to
Okay.
return a coat
And tell her all about the date.
and then went into her own room.
Oh, okay.
Then Charles returned to the family home,
Okay.
which was a massive 3-story, 17-room Tudor-like mansion.
17 rooms? Ain't nobody needs no 17 rooms.
It was in Kenilworth near Lake Michigan.
Oh.
And it was now around midnight, and
Aye.
only Lorraine was up waiting for him.
17 rooms?
Yep.
Man.
His youngest son, Mark, who was 11, was away at a sleepover.
Oh, Mark's just sleeping over wherever he wants.
So Charles' 3 daughters, Gail, Sharon, and Valerie, were all in their rooms.
Gail, Sharon, and Valerie, y'all. Which
Another
ones are
son-
twins? Gail and Sharon?
No, Sharon and Valerie.
Oh.
Another son, 19-year-old Roger, was away at university.
Raj.
So Charles and Lorraine stayed up and watched TV for an hour or so, and then about 1:30 a.m., everyone was asleep.
Okay.
At around 5 a.m. that morning, Lorraine was awoken by the sound of breaking glass.
Oh, here comes the action.
And then she heard a clicking sound, which she thought sounded like footsteps.
Click, click,
But
click.
for whatever reason, she turned, rolled over and went back to sleep.
Oh, here's
It was kind of like those sounds that you're not sure if you're dreaming them kind of thing.
Yeah, sometimes that happens.
But then she was awakened again, and she heard moaning.
Oh, like sexual moaning?
No.
Like, oh, yeah.
Stop it.
Or like this. Like what kind of moaning?
I wasn't there. So she got up, went into the hallway, and went to the Valerie's bedroom door and opened it, and she sees a man standing over the bed.
What?
He swiftly turns around and shines his flashlight in her eyes so
What?
she can't see.
Huh?
And then she runs out of the room and set off the burglar alarm.
Yeah.
And while doing this, the intruder got out and left the premises.
Out the broken window or something?
Yeah. The sound of her cries and the alarm woke the other occupants of the house. Charles Percy hurriedly went to his daughter's room and turned on the light and was faced with a horrific scene. His 21-year-old daughter was covered in blood,
Oh, no.
and she was battling for her life. So he calls a neighbor named Robert Hoff, who was also a doctor. Hoff arrived at the Percy family home at around 5:10 a.m. and went to examine Valerie. Moments later, he made his way downstairs to the living room and said he couldn't do anything. She had passed away.
Oh, no.
So closer examination showed she had been bludgeoned over the head with 2 vicious blows. The exact weapon couldn't be identified, but it had left 4 cone-shaped indents on her skull.
Cone-shaped?
Yeah. She had also been stabbed repeatedly. There was a total of 11 stab wounds, 6 stab wounds on her face. 2
Was
on
this
her
the girl that was on the date?
What?
Was this the girl that's getting murdered? Was she the one who was on the date or the
no,
other one?
the other one. 6 to her face, 2 to her stomach, 2 on her chest, and a final wound on her throat. Ugh. So it was vicious overkill almost.
Yeah, so it's got to be somebody who knows her.
Law enforcement quickly found how the intruder had entered the residence. He had entered through the patio.
Yeah.
He used a pair of glass cutters to remove a pane of glass from a French door, and then unlocked the door and entered the house through the music room.
The music room.
So partial fingerprints were found on the French door, and
we need a music room.
I know, a pane of glass which had been removed from it. 5 bloody palm prints leading down the staircase banister by the fleeing killer were also collected.
Yeah, so wouldn't that have DNA?
Well, this was in 1966, honey.
Yeah, but can't they save it and rerun it now?
I don't know. Barefooted footprints were also located between the home and the family's private beach on Lake Michigan.
Private beach?
Yep. So Lorraine was questioned about the intruder she encountered. She described him as being around 5'8", weighing about 160 pounds, and he had dark hair.
That describes me. Only add 50 pounds.
The man was also wearing a check shirt, but unfortunately due to darkness and being blinded by the flashlight, she couldn't give them any more description than that.
Oh, that sucks.
So after a thorough check of the property, detectives found that nothing had seemingly been taken. Everyone they spoke to also seemed to point at Valerie as having no enemies. So this left them with this unanswered question: what was the motive behind the murder?
Something to do with this politician, probably.
So law enforcement thought that the killer would have wanted to get rid of the weapons as quickly as possible, and Lake Michigan was nearby, so they
just chuck them in there.
They searched the lake, but they couldn't find the glass cutter or the heavy object that was used to assault her. There was a bayonet located, but there was nothing to suggest it was the murder weapon.
A bayonet?
Yeah. Investigators chose to focus on individuals who knew or had worked with for the Percy family.
Yeah, I guess.
One person of interest was a campaign worker who had been fired during the summer, but nothing could link him to the murder. Calvin Fentress and Tully Friedman, the men who dined with Valerie and Lorraine the previous evening, were also questioned.
They did it.
They also agreed to take a polygraph test, but Calvin Fentress' test came back inconclusive because he was so nervous.
Fentress did it.
Despite this, the police didn't consider either of them as possible suspects.
Sorry, your name is Fentress. You're a murderer.
It was announced that Charles Percy's campaign for Senate would be suspended until further notice.
Wait a minute. I take that back. Fentress might not have done it. I don't want to get in trouble for libel.
As a mark of respect, his opponent, Senator Douglas, announced he too would halt his campaign.
Oh, that's nice.
And
you don't hear about that happening a lot.
Not anymore. Charles Percy restarted his election campaign on October 4th, 1966, just over 2 weeks after his daughter's murder.
Man.
Just a few weeks later in November, he won the election and was elected to the U.S. Senate. This was considered an upset, with many believing the sympathy vote was responsible.
Yeah, I'm sure. Poor guy lost his daughter. Got to vote for that guy.
So during that same period, detectives had followed up on over 500 leads and questioned nearly 400 people.
Yeah?
Unfortunately,
the same amount of people that auditioned for the Monkees.
That's true. But they were no nearer identifying the man responsible. Over the following months, the number of officers working the case slowly decreased. March 1968, the investigation was officially no longer under full-time investigation.
Huh.
Despite this, over the following 2 years, the part-time investigation would yield over 1,000 suspects. There are a few of note, and I will
Let's
note
go
them
through
now.
them, and I will tell you which one did it for sure.
So 4 years after the murder, in 1970, a prisoner named Harold James Evans named a former cellmate as the killer.
Okay.
That man's name was Frederick J. Malchow.
Same name as the Black Monk.
The Evans.
Fred.
Yeah. Evans said his fellow inmate told him that Valerie had awoken during a robbery, so he killed her. Unfortunately, there was a problem with getting Frederick Malchow's response to this. He was dead.
That guy was dead, huh?
So while awaiting trial for rape and burglary in 1967, he had escaped.
Yeah. And
upon attempt to recapture him, he fell to his death. He died plunging from a railway bridge over the Schuylkill River. And there are many that believe the account made by Evans is true.
Yeah, it might be.
There's no hard evidence ever found to connect Malchow to the murder, and his palm prints were not a match for those found at the murder scene.
So why? But if he was robbing, why would he be in her room? I guess maybe he broke in that room.
So the other one is a woman that came forward and named her ex-boyfriend as the killer, and his name was Francis Leroy Hoheimer. And it wasn't just the woman who pointed the finger at him. An acquaintance named Robert Stanfield claimed Hoheimer had informed him 2 weeks before the murder that he had cased the Percy home and intended to rob it.
Francis Hoheimer, huh?
He also reportedly told his brother in the days following her murder, and he said that a job he had done had gone wrong, and that he had led him killing someone.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's him then.
The most prominent person to point the finger at Hoheimer was Leo Rugendorf. He was a member of a crime syndicate in Chicago.
Leo Rugendorf was?
Yep.
Man.
He went to the press with his claims. He said that Hoheimer had confessed to him that he was responsible for the murder.
So that's it. Hoheimer did it.
Well, he was serving a 30-year prison sentence, but he says that he was a member of a gang of burglars who robbed the wealthy from 1965 to 1967.
Oh.
He pointed the finger initially at a fellow member of the gang, a man named Norman Jackson. But before detectives could interview Jackson, he was found dead.
Oh, he's dead.
In mysterious circumstances after falling to his death from a building in Chicago.
Well, gang of burglars, huh? I didn't know they had gangs of burglars like that.
So Hoheimer suddenly changed his story then.
Yeah?
He again points his finger at another gang member, Frederick Malchow, the same suspect named by Harold James Evans.
That was the first guy?
The first guy. So he says, his story is a little different than Evans, though. Evans had said that Malchow confessed in his cell.
Yeah.
But Hoheimer claims that Malchow, when the pair showed up at his apartment along with Jackson on the day of the murder, Malchow was covered in blood, and Hoheimer claimed he burnt clothes belonging to Malchow. But Hoheimer's wife said that never happened. And as was the
There's
case
so
with
many people
Malchow,
there.
again, there's no physical evidence could be found to link Hoheimer to the murder.
But we know one of these groups did it.
And his
so it's
palm
about-
prints
you got
also didn't match the ones found in the Percy home.
it. Oh.
So then the
Whose didn't?
Hoheimer.
Holheimer's didn't?
Okay, so here's the next suspect. William Thorson III was named as a suspect
All right, who's this guy?
in a book called Sympathy Vote. And the author Glenn Wall states that Thorson was first suspected by his probation officer in 1966. He writes that when police attempted to speak with William Thorson, he was uncooperative and unwilling to be interviewed. His father was the founder and president of Great Western Steel Company and was a very wealthy man.
Yeah.
The Thorson family home was located just a block away from the Percy estate.
Uh-oh.
At the time of the murder, William Thorson was no longer living at the family home and was in fact living in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Glenn Wall claims in his book that he would frequently visit his family back in Kenilworth, so it's possible he was in the area at the time of the murder.
All right.
Thorson had a history of erratic behavior, which included violence. In one incident, he allegedly tried to throw his mother from a second-story balcony.
Oof.
Another incident saw him break a waiter's arm as he felt he was overcharged 75 cents on his bill.
You know what? That waiter fucking deserved it.
He had also committed numerous burglaries. The family at one point tried to have William committed due to his behavior, but was unsuccessful. William Thorson had also been suspected in the suicide of his brother Richard.
Oh.
In 1965.
You say suicide.
Suicide.
Suicide
Yep.
with bunny ears around your thing.
Around my
Quoting
things.
No, what's the...
Air
all
quotes.
these- Air quotes.
In 1965, the day before he was due to face trial for burglary charges, Richard was found dead in his car.
What?
This is William Thorson's brother. Richard and William had been caught attempting to steal from their own father.
So they think William Thorson killed him.
Yeah, he had been shot behind his right ear. Although the scene looked like a suicide, the fact that Richard Thorson was left-handed made that questionable.
So how
Tim,
come...
in my mind, would make that impossible. Oh, just put that anywhere, pal.
What was it?
Use your mouse.
Oh. Fuck. I can't
jeez.
get it.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Here's my question.
Mm-hmm.
How come this guy can just be uncooperative if they think he
He's
did it?
rich.
Oh yeah, rich people don't have to. They don't have consequences.
One theory is that William paid a hitman named Dale Stoddard to kill his brother so he would inherit stocks worth over $500,000. After Stoddard killed Richard, he himself was then murdered by William Thorson after Stoddard demanded more money. But on June 10th, 1970...
Oh, June 10th, 1970. The same day that Kelly Williams, American television actress, was born, and also Gerur Kristini, an Icelandic author of children's book, was born
Yes.
in Reykjavik
Yes.
that same day.
On that day,
you
he was
love it.
shot dead. William
Oh, no.
Thorson was shot dead.
William Thorson was shot dead.
His killer was his wife, Laura. Thorson had repeatedly attacked his wife with an electric cattle prod and a leather riding whip in the days leading up to his death.
Jeez, he deserved it, that
He-
fucker.
He also forced his wife to write several suicide notes and attempted to force her to take an overdose.
Yikes.
Louise Thorson was found not guilty at the trial for the murder of her husband on grounds of self-defense. Thank
Good
God.
for her.
William Thorson is certainly an interesting suspect. However, the link to the murder of Valerie Percy seems small. A weapons haul was found by police belonging to Thorson a few months after the murder.
Yeah.
Among the weapons were some bayonets, similar to the one found in Lake Michigan.
Uh-oh.
The link also seems a slight stretch, but when you add it to the fact that the bayonet found was never able to be officially linked with the murder anyway, it makes it almost negligible.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
Another question mark against William Thorson would be motive. What reason would he have for killing Valerie Percy?
He probably was trying to hit on her. She wasn't not receptive.
Anyway, over 53 years have passed since the murder of Valerie Percy, and the case remains unsolved. And this was a lot of this was from unsolvedcasebook.com by Adam Bradley.
Adam Bradley is a stand-up guy.
Yes.
Shout out to Adam Bradley, y'all. Well, that's cool. That's, I mean, it's not cool. It's terrible and tragic and sad.
That's an interesting one, though.
It's, yeah, definitely. I never knew it happened. Never even heard of it.
I mean, at first you
Valerie-
think, oh, it's the family, somebody in the family, but then they found that somebody had broken in for sure. So
Yeah.
it's weird. It doesn't seem.
I never thought it was the family, though.
Yeah, I guess not. I just always think it's the family because
Because the John Benet Ramsey thing.
it usually is. Yeah.
I don't know if he usually is. The jury's still out on the John Benet Ramsey thing, I think.
It's the brother.
You
It was
think?
Burke. It was an accident, and the parents covered it up.
You're probably right.
Anyway, that's not 1966.
No, it's not 1966, and it's also not 1966 now. It's 2020, and we thank you for listening to a podcast about
Yes.
murders
Sorry I talked so much.
and pop culture. No, don't be sorry for your voice. It's a lovely voice that
Oh,
we all
thank you.
like. We're all time heads,
Thanks, sweetheart.
and we like the sound of your voice. What we don't like is my voice. If your name is Brent Nelson,
It's true.
because I'm an asshole. It's not even funny.
Oh, you're
Which he's
funny.
right. He's right now.
You're funny, sweetheart.
Sometimes. It's hit or miss. He listens
It
to
is.
some bad.
We're all hit or miss.
There's some times where I just don't have it. I just
Yeah,
mail
that's
it
all-
in.
yeah, that's
I'm
all
just
right.
mailing it in sometimes.
That's okay, sweetheart. That's
You
what we
know,
all do.
it's hard to do a weekly podcast.
Yeah, when you got a job.
I do have a job.
If this was our job, it would be a lot better.
That's true. If you would all just send us $1 million. Also, I have 2 nipples.
Yeah, that's true too.
And I think that'll bring it. That finishes September. We'll start
Yep.
up in October next time.
It sounds good
on
to me,
American
babe.
Timelines on episode 97. Then that'll be
97.
and then that will. Well, maybe we can get 98. We might finish 66. So we might
Stop that.
I just got an itch on my beard. That was not a sound effect I added. It was actually me itching my beard. Anyway, we love you, listeners. Thank
Yes,
you.
time
Shout
to get
out
outta
to
here,
Lori
Chuck Berry.
Vance again. Lori Vance, we got our first comment through the Queen City Podcast Network.
Oh, really?
I guess people can leave comments about us because I got some notification that Lori Vance said we're great.
Sweet.
I actually can tell you exactly what she said. Yep, Lori Vance submitted a form. It said, I just got this email that said, Lori Vance just submitted your form on QCPN, Queen City Podcast Network. Lori Vance, Joe and Amy, I love, in all caps, your podcast. I, too, am a fan of true crime, and Amy picked some good ones. Joe covers
Sweet.
interesting stuff, too, like music, political, and social issues of the day, and sports. Sorry, Amy. But what I love most is the interaction of the two of you while delivering the podcast. Great synergy and highly entertaining. Keep up the great work.
Nice.
How about
Thank
that?
you.
Thank you, Lori Vance. You are great. I happen to work with her husband,
Nice.
who hates our podcast.
Yes, that's true.
But all because of me. He
Yeah.
said he would like it if I wasn't on it. But I love Kevin Vance anyway because he's just one of those nice guys that you just can always talk to. Like, he's
Yep.
just like, you see him coming, I can't not talk to him. He's like that kind of guy. He used to be a house manager and an usher and all that kind of stuff. And Lori is an usher too at Blumenthal Performing Arts.
All right.
Anyway, shout out to Lori Vance.
Yes, awesome.
Told her the other day she's my favorite listener. And right now
Now you just pissed everybody off.
right now she's number 1 because she sent this. So everyone else,
Yep.
go
Get
ahead,
on it.
go to the Queen City Podcast Network
Get down on
site, and apparently there's a place there where you can put in contact. I don't even know how this got to me. I don't really know about it, but apparently there's a place you can
it. All right. You're real informative tonight. So anyway,
go to QueenCityPodcastNetwork.com and let them know that we're the best, and maybe they'll give us all their money or something.
yeah, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah,
It's time to get out of here, Chuck Berry.
Get out of here, Chuck Berry. It's time to end this episode.
Matt Truman.
This was Matt Truman. Ego Trip is going to play us out. We just tired of hearing about the 60 hours.
All right.
I want you to tell me one more time.
That's not going to match up with the music at all, so you
No,
better
it's
stop.
not. Let's listen to
Let's
Matt
listen
Truman.
to how a real professional does it, please.
Matt Truman really is amazing. Go to his music. Every episode has a link to Matt Truman's Bandcamp site where you can buy his music. It's
That's
worth
right.
it. It's worth it. It's real affordable, and it's kick-ass. It's better than any music you can find out there today.
That's right.
There's no music as good as Matt Truman's that you can pay for, and this is affordable.
And
So
it helps a struggling artist.
it helps us. Well, I don't think he's
I mean, not
doing
struggling,
okay.
but
He's
you know
not,
what I mean, like-
drowning. Yeah,
No,
but he shouldn't have to work.
he
a
shouldn't
regular
have to
job.
work a regular
He's
job,
too
is what I
talented.
mean.
He's too
by that.
talented to not be just recording all day long. Like
Right.
more Matt Truman music could be changed. It could change the world. They could fix the world.
Maybe.
Matt Truman
All right.
and his wife Steph is cool too. I was in a play with it a long time ago.
All right.
Anyway, shout out to Feces. Muppet. Bring it along. They're big dude.
One more time, I said we're so tired of hearing about the 60s. Well, make me shut my mouth.
American Timelines is a member of the Queen City Podcast Network, powered by Ortho Carolina. Find out more at queencitypodcastnetwork.com.
Samantha, that's a hickey.